let's start with the what happened in the UK, because it's shocking. So my understanding is, just from the reports, and we just read the latest before we came to air, there was a man, so 3 people were attacked. It happened in 2 waves. The first man who was attacked, and this is not on camera, is a man that's just hit via the Daily Mail named Shahzad Farouk. He's 45, and he has a teenage son. That man now is being treated for serious knife wounds. And the reason he got stabbed is that this Afghani national was staying with him, with Mr. Farouk. They had somehow allowed this. I don't know why or how. The Farouks are of Pakistani origin. The accused killer is an Afghani. But Farouk took in this suspect and was allowing this man to stay with his family. And what Farouk said, according to Farouk's brother, is that, quote, the Afghan man was staying with me. And the brother said there was no argument or any other issue that led to the attack. He just went berserk and started attacking my brother, the guy Farouk, and my nephew inside the home. That the brother had told him the Afghan man burst into a room with a knife, screaming, and went mental. They ran out of the house, and the Afghan man chased them. This is what they get for their kindness. And that is when the Afghan man came across the dog walker. He then, I'm just going to describe it for the listening audience, but that he then attacked this sweet man walking his dog as though they had had a long-standing personal beef in which there was mutual hatred and in which the Afghan man's family was threatened. I mean, the ferocity and almost personal seeming nature of the attack led most people to believe there must be more here. There must be more to it. Nope, there wasn't anything more to it, Rich. This Afghan man just wanted this gentleman dead and did everything within his power. Multiple stab wounds, just went after him without mercy. And now there's talk in the UK of whether we're going to be looking at riots any moment now. This just happened overnight. A woman called in to, hold on, I'm looking at my SOT list here. She called in, Talk TV, thank you, to talk about her experience. This is in response to what we saw this morning. She's in London. Take a listen to this woman in not a rich area of London describing her experience lately.
Oh, I live in the borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the high street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger, and they're not doing nothing to help us. They're pushing us to do something that we don't want to do. We are peaceful people. British people never vote against their government.
Yeah.
They're going to push us through it because they're not listening to us. I don't leave the house without a man.
You're that worried.
Well, everyone I know is getting stabbed. They're getting raped in parks. This is where I live, not where the politicians live.
Do you think that's part of the issue, that they don't live in the real world?
Keir Starmer, if you're listening to this, please do something. I'm petrified. I've never broken the law in my life. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've been a civil servant. Please do something. It's us that are dying on the streets.
Awful, Rich. And Keir Starmer has said nothing so far, not in response to this woman's pleas, not in response to this horrific crime. And honestly, this is just a day in the life right now for the people of Great Britain. This is unfortunately not that extraordinary a story over there.
Yeah, so every time an illegal immigrant kills someone, excuse me, here or somewhere else, the political establishment, their first reaction is, let's not talk about illegal immigration, right? That is not the reaction of most people. Countries have social problems. It's an endemic just a reality in how human works. But for most people, it makes no sense to import a social problem and create one where there was none before. And that's part of what we hear that woman complaining about. And I think if people want to understand 30 years from now what politics was like in the Western world, that interview should be in a time capsule. That is it. That is a passionate and stirring statement of what's going on. I was talking to a very astute political observer just the other day, Megyn, who's making the point all across the Western world now, you either have right-wing populist parties in power or politicians in power or leading in the polls everywhere, except for three places: Canada, Australia, New Zealand. And this friend of mine was saying, so what makes those places different? They have not had out of control illegal immigration. Everywhere else has. These countries have invited the problem and they've invited the response. And there's a reason that Nigel Farage, who was kind of a fringy populist nationalist in the UK, is leading in the polls. And if you believe some of the polls right now, it's going to be some time until there's an election, the establishment parties would just disappear and reform would totally dominate. And it's because of what we heard from that woman.
Mm-hmm. And the class element of it is right in your face, right? It's my neighborhood, she's saying. It's our neighborhoods that are being attacked, where people are getting killed. Like, do we not matter? This guy drove a garbage truck for a living. This is not a rich man in terms of, whatever, lifestyle and the trappings of what you can get with money. Just a hardworking guy out there walking his dog. He didn't deserve this. Why did he get this? Keir Starmer doesn't get this. The upper crust of Great Britain doesn't get this. And those are the people who let guys like this in.
Yeah. So the politicians, the elite, they don't live in these neighborhoods. If they go through these neighborhoods, it might be with security, it might be in a black car going to a government meeting or a media appearance. So they don't live in these places, which obviously doubles the offense. Ordinary people can put up with a lot if they know that the people who are purporting to lead them are taking part in some way with their struggle or have sympathy with it, right? This is why Churchill, in contrast to Hitler, Germany was being destroyed. Hitler never went out and saw any bombed out neighborhood, right? Churchill did it all the time to make this point. Are people hearing that from their politicians or getting that sense from their politicians? No. And that's, again, a reason why on the current trajectory, those parties are going to almost disappear.
Elon Musk tweeted this out, Rich. When Tolkien wrote about the hobbits, he was referring to the gentlefolk of the English shires who don't realize the horrors that take place far away. They were able to live their lives in peace and tranquility, but only because they were protected by the hard men of Gondor. What happened to the nice man who was brutally murdered while walking his dog will happen to all of England if the tide of illegal immigration is not turned. It is time for the English to ally with the hard men like Tommy Robinson and fight for their survival, or they shall surely all die. You've got John James, a UK man, retweeted by Musk, writing, "You can smell the anger across the UK tonight. Decent people have had enough." And this from Colin Brazier of the Salisbury Review, a conservative outlet in the UK. "For too long, our mainstream media has suspended its skepticism about young men who come here illegally from countries steeped in blood. They persist in thinking new arrivals can only make a benign contribution to British life. This lie is wearing thin." And the Brits are a canary in the coal mine in so many ways, Rich, for the United States. They're woker than we are. They've gone harder left than we have. And this is more than a terrifying reality to witness from across the pond. It's a preview for us of what's coming here.
Yeah, so Elon's statement was very well taken. Obviously a real Tolkien fan, but the point of The Hobbit is Bilbo Baggins doesn't want to go on the adventure. He doesn't want to go on the trek, right? But this is in effect the British establishment bringing the dragon, bringing the threat to Bilbo Baggins' door, when all Bilbo Baggins wants to do is walk his dog in peace, right? And you should be able to do that. So it's not a gargantuan task. It's just saying, no, we're not going to have more illegal immigrants. We're going to deport the ones that are here. And the immigrants who are illegal, we're going to insist that they assimilate to a society that is, as you eloquently put it a few minutes ago, they have chosen to come to. right? There are lots of other places you could go besides the UK, United States, wherever it is. And if you're going to come, it's because you embrace what we're about, and you embrace our heritage and our institutions and our values. That's not too much of an ask. It's an ask that many, many countless millions of immigrants in this country have accepted and have been totally fine with and embraced. But it has to be the basic requirement of a civil society. Otherwise, you see this disorder, and people aren't going to put up with it.
And it's too late. I mean, I fear for my friends across the pond, it's too late for them. They've already allowed so many illegals and others, and also legal migrants from countries that have totally unshared values with those of the West, that we're seeing them overrun. I mean, we had a couple weeks ago, I mentioned this, we had Will Kingston on. He's an anchor for GB News. He's actually an Aussie, but he's been living in Great Britain. And he went off just about the problems that they're having over there, and how we have to get really honest about how diversity is not a strength, not at all, and that it's actually tearing Great Britain apart. And we talked in that segment, Rich, about how there are certain parts of London now where the immigrants have grown so large in their population that they're now the majority. They're winning in mayoral spots across the country, and they're complaining about the British flag. Okay, this is a UK Labour MP, member of Parliament. So this guy's in Parliament. His name is Jivan Sandher, and you'll hear in this soundbite he's urging authorities to take down the British flags. Watch.
It's time to take down the lamppost flags. And you know, because you've seen it online and I see it in my inbox, that this does make people feel uneasy. And they ask, what message are these flags supposed to be sending? Now look, I'll take people at their words. People who say this is about national pride. I'm proud of my country too, and I'm proud of our flag. But I do understand why others feel that it's about excluding people. Why others feel that it's about saying who belongs here and who doesn't. We're one British people. We're proud of our country. We should be standing together underneath our flag, not some of us looking up with unease. That's not the British way. That's why today I'll be asking the Reform County Council to take down the flags from the lampposts.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, Nigel, if his team is shrewd at all, will be cutting that and making that a campaign ad. I mean, that's the problem right there. If you can't accept your country's national flag and you think it's exclusionary, it's you who are identifying yourself as somehow outside the national community. That's the flag of the second greatest country in the history of the world, I'll say as an American. But any Brit should say I'm wrong, and it's the greatest country in the world. And that flag is a symbol of unity and resolve and national identity. So that's a huge, huge warning sign. I would say I don't think it's too late. They've obviously imported huge problems, but societies do have a reflex towards self-preservation, and we may be seeing that again with the rise of Nigel Farage. And also, the UK's politics, it's not quite ours. The UK is somewhere in between the US and Europe, kind of in its political attitudes, but we've solved this problem at the border. We're going around trying to alleviate it with the deportations. But the fact you point out that these communities are now overwhelmingly immigrant, and the politics and the culture there are reflecting that, is a reason why it's not just the quality of immigrants you want to care about. You want to select immigrants for merits and a merit in a way we don't. It's also quantity that matters, because you don't want to get these insular communities that feel detached from the rest of the country. That's an enormous problem.
We have a quantity problem right here in America. That's the God's honest truth. Look at Dearborn, Michigan. Look at the numbers that came out on the streets. Look at New York City. The numbers that came out on the streets for the pro-Palestinian protests, and you see the Palestinian flag being waved around. Look at Minneapolis in Minnesota. They are overwhelmed with immigrants from Muslim countries who want America to be a Muslim country too. We also ran this when Will Kingston was on. Listen to this. It's a CBS News anchor in Minneapolis cheerily introducing this change to a Minneapolis ordinance allowing the Muslim call to prayer to be broadcast at all hours of the day. She's thrilled about it. Look at this story.
The city of Minneapolis changed its noise ordinance, now allowing the Islamic call to prayer to be broadcast from speakers year-round 5 times a day. In tonight's Weekend Journal, David Schumann of WCCO reports it is a first for a major U.S. city.
The Muslim call to prayer, recited in here, heard out there.
It is a very simple message to share the greatness of God and to call people to success.
5 times a day, Muslims gather to pray at mosques, but the broadcast for the pre-dawn and nighttime prayers weren't allowed in Minneapolis until now. The city eliminated time constraints from the part of its noise ordinance related to religious worship. In the summer, that means the call could go out as early as 3:30 a.m. and as late as 11 p.m.
So 3:30 in the morning, you're going to be walking down the streets of Minneapolis, maybe coming home from a bar if you're a kid, whatever, and you're going to be interrupted with Allahu Akbar, of course, exactly the phrase that all the terrorists shouted before they plowed their airplanes into the Twin Towers, into the Pentagon, and were brought down over a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, but for many of us Americans, that phrase is deeply rattling and disturbing, and the last thing we need to have is to hear it broadcast 5 times a day from loudspeakers all over American cities, Rich.
Yeah, no, obviously no one has a problem with Muslims praying. And every time I see it, I have all due respect for people whose faith means so much to them. But this is obviously, it's a violation of the noise ordinance, or should be, right? And those hours of the day, we wouldn't want church bells ringing at 3:30 in the morning. That's crazy. And it feels to a lot of people as an act of cultural aggression.
Buy gold and get free silver. That's right. For every $5,000 purchased from Birch Gold Group this month in advance of Veterans Day, they will send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. Look, gold is up over 40% since the beginning of this year, and Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they'll send you free silver honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. And if you are current or former military, Birch Gold has a special offer just for you. They are waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider diversifying your savings into gold. Text MK to the number 989898 for a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver with qualifying purchase before the end of the month. Again, text MK to the number 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.